push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a new year of the Ysn Power Hour, brought to you by our friends at Toyota of Warren. My name is DJ Yoakley. So happy to be back with you after, 3 weeks or so? Left before Christmas, came back. It's the 9th, so yeah, about 3 weeks. Had a lot going on, obviously, as all of you did as well. A merry belated Christmas to you, and I hope your new year has started off right. Here in 2023, a lot going on, a lot to talk about, but wanted to give you an update as we do from year to year because we don't want things to get stale. We are changing the kind of format at the beginning of the show. Now, you're used to On This Day in Sports History, which a lot of you have become really fond of, and I don't want to say excited because nobody's like waiting for it, but we're changing it out. We're racking it, putting it in the rotation. It'll come back at some point over the next few years. But this year in 2023, it's all about the birthdays. We're going to say who has a birthday today, whether they're local athletes, whether they're regional or national athletes. We're going to bring it all to you. I don't have a graphic yet, but in that same breath, let's give you some birthdays from January 9th. So around the NFL, Justin Blackmon. I don't know if anybody remembers Justin Blackmon. He is 33 today, born, of course, in 1990. Easy math there. You look at some of the other players in the NFL who maybe I'm trying to look for some people that you may have heard of. There's not much. There's not a whole lot of January 9th birthdays. Everybody was born on the 8th or the 10th, apparently. This is why I should probably do this before the show, right? Well, congratulations and happy birthday to Justin Blackmon. That's how we'll go. We want to celebrate your birthdays. So if you're out there and you have a birthday, we want you to email info at ysnlive.com. If you're in the YSN family, we will celebrate your birthday, and we're working on some stuff, maybe get you a free treat from somewhere here locally as part of your birthday celebration. So happy birthday, Justin Blackmon. That's all I got for today from that standpoint. We got a lot to talk about. The power rankings came out today about 2 o'clock, and it's got some teams to talk about, certainly to keep your eye on because of all the greatness we have here in student athletes, from the boys, the girls. We're going to talk about all of that. And then we're going to have a conversation about, and we've had this relatively lately, there's an official shortage that keeps being talked about in circles, especially towards Cleveland and I believe other parts of the state, and of course nationally. But what people aren't talking about is what I think is coming on the horizon is a coaching shortage. And we're going to talk about that, the officiating shortage versus the coaching shortage. We're not going to do much in the way of finger pointing. We're not even going to really cite any instances, which I'm sure everybody has their own finger to point at. Oh, well, look what's happening here. Look what's happening here. We're going to talk about it in general. And we're going to discuss why it's so important that we get ahead of this, because I think everybody knows that at the end of the day, if you don't have coaches and you don't have officials, who's going to keep order during the games? Whether it's high school or youth, college, I don't think they're going to have any coaching shortages at the professional level because of the paycheck that comes with it. But we're going to get to that, all that and more. And of course, our Joe Dickey Electric, What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric at the end of the show. So let's get it off and running. Power rankings come out today. There is a ton to talk about because there's been some maneuvering. We haven't come out with the power rankings, I believe, in the last 3 weeks to kind of go with what we do here on YSN. So with that, and there was some definite layoff between before Christmas and to this point. Let's talk about the week 4 girls power rankings here. Canfield, the number 1 spot still. Then you've got Garfield, Louisville at 3. Salem comes in at 4 after an absolute, heartbreaking loss to Louisville, which is why I think they're in that order. Poland comes in at number 5. Springfield at number 6. Crestview at number 7. Edgewood at number 8. Badger at number 9, and Brookfield at 10. Here's what I can tell you about some of these teams. I'm the Salem play-by-play guy moving forward. What I can tell you is a lot of people have counted Salem down and out this year. A lot of people have taken the success that Salem had last year, pinned it on the seniors, and said, onward and upward, we're looking elsewhere. Louisville, who is a very good program, came in, and those two did unbelievable battle. I mean, they battled to the very end. And if you haven't seen the end of that ball game, it's still on Facebook. You can go back and watch it. Just scroll right to the end of it, because you have a last-ditch effort 3-ball that came off of a broken play that is hit by Salem to give them a 1-point lead. And then Louisville called a timeout. They take it down to the end of the court, and a foul is called with 0.7 seconds left. And Barwick drills, just ice cold intervenes, drills 2 free throws with, again, 0.7 seconds left. And there's not enough time for Salem to do anything. And Louisville walks away on the road a winner. And it just tells you that those two teams, which have a lot of history, understand how big basketball is after the break. And Salem played I think they played half of their games already, right? So you're allowed 22. Salem's already played half of their games, and now they've got to separate for the next 3 months another 11 games, which is going to be a challenge. I talked to Sarah Hamilton Phillips about this. She's confident, which she should be. But when you have all your games on the front end like that, there's an opportunity for rust, for distraction, for all that stuff that you're going to look at. Now, I feel confident that the Lady Quakers are going to rise above it. But I think when you look back at what happened on Saturday, it's going to be a big, big part of how and why they're going to rise above it. Because sometimes you need that little wake-up call, whether it's at the beginning. Really, you hope it's not at the beginning, but the middle of the end of the season. Salem got that wake-up call on Saturday. I had a chance to talk to the coaching staff, and they all went back to the game they lost a couple years ago with 4.4 seconds left on the clock. And Coach Hamilton Phillips just kept going over it and over and over, and just almost like it was a nightmare, like a bad dream. And now this team can use 5.7 seconds as their new 4.4 seconds. And for Louisville, they can use 5.7 seconds as a springboard that they can do anything as long as there's time on the clock. They had an outstanding game plan. They knew what they were going to meet against Salem, and just stingy defense, physical, very physical throughout the entire game. And they rose above. Brooke Heron, number 1. I mean, she is only a junior. She is going to be a standout, not only now, but in the future. She's got her, a spot on a roster at the next level. I'm almost guaranteeing it because of how good she is, how she's a great ball handler. And she gets her teammates involved. She doesn't try to take over the game by herself. If the shot's there, she'll take it, but she's not one that's going to force things to happen. So Louisville is a team to look out for. Salem as well. Keep your eye on Canfield. They just keep on keeping on. And Anthony speaks so highly of this Canfield team for good reason. They're at the top of the charts for good reason. This is a team that at the end of the day, they're going to be there. I'm trying to get the stats and the standings pulled up. Which, by the way, you can do the same thing. You go to ysnlive.com and you just go straight to standings at the bottom of the page. You can check in on whatever you want to. So I'm looking at the right now, I'm going to look at the All-American Conference. So Canfield is at the top with a 2-0 record in the All-American Conference and a 10-1 record overall. You look at Boardman, you look at Howland, and those girls' teams are as legit as they get. Two teams, Boardman and Howland, who are knocking on the door of our power rankings right now, who I'm sure there's people over in Spartanville that are disappointed and feel almost disrespected that they're not on the power rankings. But keep in mind that I believe I said at the beginning of this that Boardman would find their way onto the power rankings by the end of the year because they are going to grow as a team throughout the year. The adversity that this team has faced, this Boardman girls team, especially coming off of a loss of a coach and a role model and a guy that has really put his heart and soul into this program in Coach Michela. I believe that it's going to affect Boardman in such a positive way, given the leadership that's intact right now. You look at Jeff Hamilton. You look at the guy who understands what Ron Michela brought to the table, what he means to the program. And in the interviews and in some of the text messages that have gone back and forth, he's not trying to put pressure on the girls. They had a big win the other day, just clutch win. And everybody felt like it was for Coach Michela, certainly. But for them, this was about turning around the program. For Coach Hamilton in his first year at the helm of this girls program, it was about turning around the program to what it was. What it was when Coach Michela was at the helm. And to have to go through the loss of a leader like that, to me, truly is remarkable because these are still 14 to 18-year-old girls. Many of them maybe have never dealt with loss before. Coach Michela was back on the sidelines, coaching these girls up as only he can do. And it was a scenario where I feel that Boardman is going to be better because Coach Michela was part of that staff from the beginning of the year and is going to make them tighter knit now because now they're dealing with loss together. And dealing with loss of a family or a friend or a coach or a mentor or a leader is different than dealing with, obviously, the loss in a game, in a sport. So the fabric that is keeping Boardman together is the adversity that they face and the struggles that they overcome. But ultimately, it's going to be the same fabric that they celebrate, not only this year, but moving down the line with looking back at what they've done together, the things that they've gone through, the chapter of life that they've gone through together. Ladies and gents, I'm telling you, Boardman is going to be, if they're not already, one of the top teams in our area. Boardman got my vote to be in the top 10. They just didn't garner enough votes from everybody else. That's just transparency. Mackenzie Riccatelli is one of the top players in the area, especially given her size. I mean, she's I say quick as a hiccup a lot on my broadcast. Mackenzie Riccatelli, you can't go anywhere that she plays and not have people that are impressed. She impressed me the very first time that I saw her play. She does not care who she has to go up against. She doesn't care if you want to try to power it through her. She doesn't matter. And you think about the other players on her team. Some of these players for Boardman didn't play last year or in years past. And they came back because they understood who was at the helm, who was ready to have their hand on the wheel to right the ship. And you look at the coaching staff across, left to right, my goodness. People that care. And why am I telling you this? Is because a lot of that boils back to Ron Michella. Enough that they brought Coach Michella back on to the coaching staff to help educate these young ladies with so much potential. And that potential, crazy thing about it, hasn't even been realized yet. So good luck to the Lady Spartans. We talked about Canfield. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight. When you look at when Canfield and Boardman meet, which I believe is this week, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be actually, come to think of it, I think Canfield and Boardman were supposed to meet last week, and the game was canceled or postponed rather. So when those two teams meet, get ready. What a game that's going to be. You've got stellar starting lineups going head to head. Is it one of those games that comes down to the bench? Who's got the longer bench? Who's got the better bench? Who's got the players that should be in the starting five or could be in the starting five if they were somewhere else? I don't know. I know Coach Hamilton loves keeping legs fresh. And I think that, Boardman, a team that was counted out last year and in years past, I don't think you can do that to the Spartans this year. And I think Canfield is well aware of that. They're well aware of what Boardman's coming for, and Canfield wants the claim to the crown as well. Howland, don't forget about them. 6-6 overall, 2-1 in the conference. They're no pushover. They're not just going to let you have it. So keep your eye on that one. Other teams to keep your eye on. I mean, let's go back to the girls. Brookfield is a team that I know a lot of our guys are really high on right now, coming in at 10. Badger is, they don't get a lot of publicity because of where they are, but they have been nothing short of impressive all season long. I mean, they have some players out there that are not getting recognized that should be playing at the next level. If you ask our guys, if you ask the Matt Morrisons of the world who cover the Badger girls, this is 9 is almost a frustration for them. Edgewood, a team out in Ashtabula, comes in at number 8. Again, they've been very impressive. And it's hard because they don't play a lot of our teams. It's hard to compare Edgewood to a lot of the teams that are here locally and from the Youngstown area and from Columbiana County and Trumbull. Well, not Trumbull so much, but Mahoning, Mahoning County. And then you have Crestview. Crestview, this is a year that I was talking to a few people, and they said it's amazing to see what Crestview is doing right now with their girls basketball program. Coach Blatch has always done a great job, and he'll always have them prepared 100%. But what everybody's so impressed with is that next year, 2023, 2024 was the year that everybody had circled and said, Crestview next year and the years after. The window is so wide open because of what's coming up through the pipeline. And I hate saying the word and even uttering the words of they're outplaying their capability. You hear that on national sports talk. You hear that on outplaying their capability, outkicking their coverage. There's nothing wrong with a team that is doing well before they're window is open. And Crestview is gaining the respect of everybody. Not that it was ever lost, but I think Coach Blatch is regaining some of the respect because there's a lot of coaching going on. There's a lot of tutelage that is being shared during practices, during games, in the locker room, of understanding it's never a bad thing to be good before your ticket's punched. Everybody's looking at Crestview for next year, 23-24. Basically the same group of girls, plus some other ones that are coming up and working their way through the reserve ranks, and another year of growth. But Crestview says, no. The girls say, that's all well and good. We can appreciate that, and thank you. However, we're going to have our cake and eat it too. And that's what Crestview's doing, which is so impressive. And it's so impressive to everybody that votes for the power rankings. Because you look at Crestview, right? Crestview is 4-1 in the conference. The only loss being to Garfield, who is 11-0 overall. Number 2 in our power rankings. Crestview is 9-2. So when you're thinking about top teams, not only in the conference of the MVAC, but in the area, Crestview to me is in that breath. And there's a lot of people that sit there and go, well, they lost to Garfield, so let's just slide them down to where they are right now, which is at number 7. But look at Garfield hanging out at number 2, just waiting for Canfield to drop. Waiting for that. Crestview at 7 is a little bit of a push for me. I think they're higher. Now, how much higher? I don't know. Do I put them in the top 5? I did. They were my number 5 team. So what does that mean? You look at, okay, you have Poland, you have Salem, you have Louisville, Garfield, and Canfield. So which team was out of that? I'll let you decide. I'll let you figure that one out. But it's not the team you think it is. A lot of you are sitting there saying, oh, it's this team. Nope. A lot of you would be surprised to see who I had in my top 5. Pretty much chalk, but Crestview is in there. Because I think Crestview, even though they lost to Garfield, certainly, while it wasn't the outcome they wanted, they certainly proved that they're a team to be reckoned with. And there's a lot of people, and I heard it, and I got text messages and Facebook messages and all kinds of stuff about what happened a couple of games prior to that. I think everybody knows my stance on varsity sports and when it comes to the mercy rule and when to change it. Now, there are some unwritten rules. But to me, when it comes to varsity sports, varsity athletics, when it comes to professional athletics, when it comes to semi-professional, I mean, whatever you call college, right? You get on the field, you get on the court, you get on the, whatever it may be, the playing surface, you're playing at a varsity level. I don't think that there's breaks in there. And I mean, breaks like Midas. I don't think teams should have to slow down what they do because you can't keep up. And I mean that with all due respect. So there's going to be a lot of people that come on and they go, whoa. If we're getting beat in baseball 13-1, I don't understand why you keep running on us. It's disrespectful to keep running on us. It's disrespectful to keep doing. It's disrespectful not to. I guess my thing is this: is you can make adjustments in your lineup, right? You can make those adjustments in your lineup and change people out to slow the bleeding, or to at least slow the offense. right? To get the other people, your reserves, whichever way you want to cut it, the people that don't get as much playing time, to get them playing time. You can do that. That's one of the top ones to do. But then I guess my problem is why, if available, why wouldn't the other team do the same? Maybe it was a bad day that your team had. Maybe you don't have enough guys or gals to make the exchange or to make the substitutions. But you can't be mad when you get beat by a significant amount and say it's unfair and say that it's uncalled for and say that's my opinion. I understand that there's multiple opinions on this. My opinion is at JV and the freshman level, if you are fortunate enough to have those, sure. Slow it down. Those are learning experiences. To my knowledge, nobody's ever won a JV state championship. Nobody's ever won a freshman state championship. Maybe I'm wrong. For varsity, you put the practice in, you put the prep in, watching video in the weight room, all of that, taking care of your body, taking care of your grades, first and foremost. So you can be on the field and showcase what you can do, not necessarily worry about what the other guy's going to think or what the other coach is going to think if you do too well. I remember being in a baseball game and it was 22-2 in the second inning. And we started out with 2 runs. And they obviously blew past that pretty quickly. The starting pitcher would not come out of the game. The coach said, well, we've gone this far. You gave up 10. You're just going to roll through this. Starting pitcher wouldn't come out of the game. What I respect most, and he's one of my really good friends, what I respected most about what he did that day was he bit the bullet, because it would be easy to come out and pout or go to first base or go to the outfield and pout about how things didn't go your way. What he did was he kept pitching that day because he didn't want to influence the games after that. He didn't want to go to the bullpen, and then we had guys that were pitching on short rest the rest of the way. Sometimes in sports and in life, you got to eat a crap sandwich and learn to like the taste of it, right? That young man did that day, and nobody complained about getting the pants beat off of us. Nobody complained. I mean, yeah, did it suck? Absolutely. Because that game was supposed to be a tightly contested ball game. But nobody complained about it. Parents might have whined a little bit. Coach basically after the game said, listen, sometimes this is going to happen. And it's how you, the student athlete, how you, the player, react to it that dictates how the parents react to it. Now, you can go home and complain and say, man, I don't like the way that we got beat. But guess what? Sometimes you're going to lose, and you're going to lose big. And for people to sit and go, this isn't right. This is like, if you get beat by 20 runs, if you get beat by 100 runs or points or whatever it may be, or goals, you still lost. At the end of the day, somebody might snicker and say, they got the brakes beat off of them. But it's still a loss. It only counts for one. So pull up your big boy pants or big girl pants and move on to the next night. Until those losses start counting for 2, 3, 4 in the standings, it's only one loss. Salem lost by 1 point to Louisville. It counts every bit the same as the 1 point, as the however many points you lose by the rest of the season. It's not weighted. This isn't hockey where if you tie, you only get 1 point for a loss and 2 points for a win. It's one loss or one win. And it's the same thing on the other. I think everybody's been in a situation where basketball or baseball or football or volleyball, whatever sport it is you play, or just life in general, karma catches up to you. If you get away with one, it's going to circle back around on you. What goes around comes around, right? Sports are no different. Sports are no different. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have the boys' power rankings, and then we're going to talk about the shortage. Officials and coaches. Yes, I said coaches. Be careful what you wish for, fam. Back after this, after a word from our great sponsors, including Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hi, I want to tell you about my Trish Yearwood home collection available at Sheely's Furniture. With 2 locations serving Ohio and Pennsylvania, Sheely's is one of the country's top sellers of my home collection. And the best part? At Sheely's, you never have to wait for a sale. They offer everyday low pricing as well as a price match guarantee, so you can shop the Trish Yearwood home collection with confidence. Come see my collection with something to offer for every room in your home and get it all with free local delivery, only at Sheely's Furniture.
All right, there's one last look at the girls hoops power rankings for week 4. Canfield, Garfield, Louisville, Salem, Poland, Springfield, Crestview, Edgewood, Badger, and Brookfield. If you want to go check out one of these games live, I certainly encourage you to do that. Or you can always go to ysnlive.com for ysnlive.com/live. Son of a gun. Welcome back, DJ. Again, let's try this again. ysnlive.com/live for an up-to-date breakdown and live links to games around the Valley. Sorry about that. Listen, you take 3 weeks off and there's gonna be a little rust on the tires. There's gonna be a little rust on the chain. So we'll get this cranked back up again. It's time to talk about the boys, and the boys was a lot tougher. The voting was a lot tighter for the boys, given that there are so many different teams this year, I think, that are very, very, very good. And there are some weird losses around them all. Badger, your top team, the number 1 team in the area. Badger just continues to dominate. A lot of people are going to say, oh, it's because of the schedule they play. Like they play some tough teams. They had a tough stretch. Conneaut, they got a win over Conneaut. The other night, you got a win over St. Thomas Aquinas, got a big time win I mean, they're riddled with big time wins, and I think that their schedule will lighten up in terms of what they're facing when they go back into the NAC. But you look at kind of where things are. You look at the NAC, and you see that Badger is on top at 10-0. They're 4-0 in the conference. Matthews right behind them at 3-1 in the conference, but they're 7-3 overall. You got Pymatuning Valley that's 7-2, and then it kind of drops off. Maplewood 4-5. Fairport Harding is 3-7. And the other side, the Stripes division, you got Bristol, which Badger already has a win over, 7-3. Wyndham is 5-4, and then it's just mass chaos. You've got it. Ashtabula St. John 1-4, Lordstown's 1-9, Chalkers 3-7, and Bloomfield, to our knowledge, our recollection, 0-2, still looking for their first win on the year. But Badger is our top team, and Badger is, I got to see them live and in person, and I'm going to do it again here in the next couple weeks. They are a force to be reckoned with. They play high pressure defense. They have high flyers on offense. They can shoot the three ball. Of course, Duncan Moy, one of our big dogs of the Valley already. And that dude is really putting his name in the hat for player of the year. I mean, could be the MVP this year as a junior with all the talent that he's been able to showcase here this year, but he's got some great teammates around him to help him do that. So Badger, your number one team. I think, and I hope Badger and nobody takes any offense to this, the most talented team in our area is Ursuline. Ursuline to me is they have the ability to be the best team in the area, but they do play a really, really tough schedule. Ursuline will back down from nobody. Coach Gunn will schedule you in a parking lot if he has to, whatever it takes, because he wants his guys to have great experience, because here in Youngstown, the only way that you're going to go to the state championships down in Dayton is if you're playing tough teams. And Ursuline, to me, lives up to that. And they are, just like in football and really any sport, the Ursuline basketball team, not fearful at all to step up and stare in the face of adversity. So Ursuline, your number 2 team this week. There was a lot of votes for Louisville. Will Aljancic, your all-time program leader in points now after the win against Canfield the other night. Whew. That's a good team. Really, really good team. Louisville, obviously a D1 when it comes to basketball. So they're going to be up against it come tournament time. But it looks like they're up for it. It really does. It really looks like Louisville is trying to paint a picture of yesteryear with the talent that they have on that team as well. And Will Aljancic is leading the way for the Leopards. East Liverpool, a shock to nobody, especially everybody in Liverpool. East Liverpool bleeds Potter Blue, and they bleed for basketball. I mean, East Liverpool basketball is the heartbeat of Potterville. You talk to my good friend Tommy Pease, you can talk to anybody, and especially after we talked about adversity with Boardman, Bubs 44, Steve Dawson, huge Potter, not only fan, but contributor. There's a lot of people that want to win for Bubs 44. And no doubt about it, East Liverpool is going to rally around the loss of one of their prodigal sons down by the river. And certainly, I think East Liverpool is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you look at who they are and what they are at this point in the year. Where is it? Buckeye 8. There we go. Clicking over there. I mean, they're 9-1, 3-0 in the conference. The next best team is Indian Creek at 5-5. Harrison Central comes in at 4-6. Beaver Local at 6-4. And then Edison's 3-8. Edison's still looking for their first conference victory. Beaver Local, pardon me, with 1. Harrison Central with 3. The same conference record as Indian Creek. And then you got East Liverpool's 3-0. Potters are going to be a force to be reckoned with, without a shadow of a doubt. Newton Falls and Girard. This was the closest vote we've ever had, I think, including football season. between these two teams and where they were going to be, because one team was going to be 5, one team was going to be 6. Girard fell with the short straw with the late vote. So Newton Falls, it really is. I wish I could put 5A and 5B, because that's really what it was. Newton Falls, got a huge win over Crestview the other night. And you look at the way that they've been playing basketball and they've been performing, and it's just been on another level. But Girard's been on that same plane. Being able to see Girard almost every night, thanks to Matt Maher, it's been awesome. But these two teams are on similar trajectories. I mean, you look at where Girard is in the NE8, and I clicked the wrong one, so you have to forgive me. Girard is 8-2, 5-0. Craig Hannon doing a phenomenal job leading those guys and turning Girard from a football-only program, and of course volleyball, to a basketball knocking on the door for a lot of people saying, hey, have you seen what the Indians have done lately? And then not to be one-upped, you look and see that 8-2 Newton Falls, same record, 3-1 in their conference. They've got a 2-game lead, basically, on LeBray, who's 5-3 overall. Same record in conference, 3-1. Garfield has the same. Camel has the same. But Newton Falls, to me, is a team that is out to prove something. They're out to prove more than just for basketball. They're out to prove that the school is not only back, but stronger than ever with their basketball program. Let's go down the list even more. Austintown Fitch. I mean, if you haven't seen Ty Bartell announce an Austintown Fitch game, you have no idea what you're missing. It's been incredible. Coach Beanie continues to have his guys ready to play. We already kind of looked at the standings from them, from the All-American Conference standings. Fitch is leading. They're 7-3 overall, 2-0 in the conference. They are where they need to be. Warren Harding also 1-0 in the conference. So they need to get, Canfield hasn't played, at least to our standings point, they haven't played a conference game yet. Boardman's 0-1 and Howland's 0-2. So Fitch really, in the early going, has control of the conference, and I want to say it's their conference to lose. Someone to look out for, certainly Warren Harding. I think Boardman can make a run. Coach Birch always has his guys ready. But Coach Beanie has a 2-game advantage right now on the rest of the conference. Make a push. Canfield, same conference, the AAC. They have an opportunity to make something happen, but once you get into conference play, that's where the cookies are cooked, or I guess baked. So Canfield has a lot of games to look at, and a lot of mirrors to look into and see who they really are, because I don't think they've really shown. They've had a couple games, to me, they've shown a lot of life, and they've shown a lot of kind of holes. Canfield can be a very good team, or they could be a very mediocre team, depending on who they want to show up that night. And that's a dangerous, dangerous situation for Coach Cullen and the Canfield Cardinals to be in. Lowellville suffering their first loss the other night had a lot to do with this. To suffer a loss to that South Range program, who is on the rise, by the way. Lowellville's first loss, a lot of people thinking that was going to be Coach Olson's 100th win, which would have been phenomenal. But now you're a one-loss program, right? You sit there and you wonder what can be when you play a team like South Range and come up short. You're 9-1, but you're 5-0 in the conference. You've got a 1-game lead on Waterloo, 1-game lead on Springfield, and then you've got reserve with 2 losses, Jackson Milton with 3 losses, and then the rest of the conference is just struggling. McDonald 1-4, Sebring 1-4, and Mineral Ridge is 0-5. So when you look at the MVAC, especially as it regards to the Scarlet tier, Lowellville, again, leading in the class of the conference. Then you get to Warren JFK. There were a couple teams that people had a lot of interest. And Gino Lucente says, we just played so bad. So bad. Now, Gina, and there's two teams that play. You got to give credit to South Range for capitalizing when a team wasn't playing up to snuff. So, but yeah, it wasn't Louisville's best game. We'll put it that way. But it certainly could be the worst game they play all season, which is good news, right? That if you want your worst game to be in one of the first weeks of 2023 and you play your heart out the rest of the way, that team could be very, very good down the stretch. Louisville could be not just very good. They can make a big-time impact with the kind of athletes that they have. I mean, you talk about Vinny, you talk about Anthony. I mean, Banovsky. I mean, you're all over the place. You could absolutely make a run. And then, of course, you have Warren JFK, as I tried to get to. Get back on the standings page, get down to PTC, and Warren JFK's 5-1 to start the year, and a late start for them because of football. They're 2-1 in the conference. St. Thomas Aquinas, 7-3 overall, 4-0 in the conference. JFK with Coach Comlank is, to me, they're going to be there when it's all. And I say this through football season, and everybody, okay, DJ, we hear you say this all the time. They're going to be there when it counts. I'd put a lot of stock into that. I'm trying to avoid the sports betting lingo. I'd put a lot of stock into saying JFK is going to be there when it counts. This is a very young, exciting team that they could go over in their conference. And now I will tell you that their district is going to be a gauntlet. And the district is going to be a gauntlet for anybody in there. And there's a lot of our teams in there. But JFK is one of those teams that could, should, and would live up to, I think, playing a Richmond or, playing one of those teams that are kind of sandbagging it for the districts. JFK is a team that not a whole lot of teams want to play unless they're in your conference, and then you're stuck. But Coach Comlank, I always think, first off, I was so impressed last week when he highlighted his student athletes for having a great quarter, not on the basketball court, in the classroom. That's always impressive to me when coaches and programs acknowledge the academics first. It really is easy to acknowledge the athletic prowess and all the great things that these kids do on the field or on the surface. But often overlooked is the student aspect of being a student athlete. And I was so impressed the other day, I have to tell you, when Coach Comlank did that, it was a standing ovation moment, because so often it's swept under the rug. Great that they're still part of our team, that they're eligible, but swept under the rug from the standpoint of, we're not here to talk about academics. We're here to talk about how many points you can put up in a game. Not that way. So Coach Comlank, well done. That is your top 10 list. Again, we'll pop it up one more time for you. We got Badger, Ursuline, Louisville, East Liverpool, Newton Falls, Girard, Fitch, Canfield, Louisville, and Warren JFK. If you think we missed somebody, take it to social media. Tell us who we missed and why they should be part of the Power Rankings, the top 10. Power Rankings are released every Monday. And then we also do the acknowledgments for Big Dogs. That will be coming out after the show today. And then tomorrow will be a new group of Big Dogs right here on ysnlive.com. Real quick, we're going to go over this, and it's probably going to be something we talk about again, so we can just scrape over what this is. It's the officiating shortage that has been talked about a ton in football. I know for 100% certain that this is a football-driven area, right? A football-driven town. However, when the officials say, we're not going to take, we're not going to take it, it's not just for football. It's for basketball, it's for baseball, it's for softball, it's for volleyball, name it. And right now, the officials certainly have a lot of leverage because there's not exactly a line at the door of people my generation or younger signing up to be officials for various reasons. Some people are going to say well, you get paid this amount and that's not enough for whatever reason. Some people are going to say, you could not pay me to go and be belittled at these games, these contests, with some of the parents, some of the disrespect from the coaches, some of the disrespect from the student athletes. That's troubling to me. That one's the troubling. Like the payment thing, I think that would be solved if every call, every whistle wasn't met with unbelievable resistance. Like unbelievable resistance to the point where you've got coaches trying to calm down parents because parents think they know the game better than the officials. And some of them might. Players think they know the game better than officials, and some of them might. But that does not give you a free pass to talk to officials in a manner with such disrespect. I mean, I saw a technical over the break that was absolutely wild to me. It was a close game at the time. And I saw a player jump up, curse right into an official because they didn't get a call and it was, I think, a traveling violation. And then had the goal to turn around when, boom, tee it up and wonder what they did. You cursed at an official. Now, I don't know very many, there's parenting styles all over the place, and I'm not trying to compare a parent to an official, but that's basically what you are. It's your way. You're the one that is making sure that everything goes smoothly and the game is played. That is what an official is supposed to do. An official doesn't and shouldn't want to be the story of the game. Yet when a team loses or it's, phantom fouls and things of that nature, we make them the story of the game. It's not that our team's not good enough. It's not that our team can't put the ball in the bucket, or it's not that our team keeps turning the ball over because the other team might be a little bit better or the other team might be a little bit more prepared. It's the officials aren't calling fouls for our team the way they are for theirs. On that same note, there's coaches that aren't playing the right kids. There's coaches that aren't running the right plays. There's coaches that aren't doing the right things. I've said this before, and I will continue to echo this. It is not a coach's job. In their description, it is not a coach's job to babysit your kid. It's not. A coach is there to do a job, to perform a task, and that is to lead men or women of all ages in the game that they are looking to play. It's not their job to remind them what time practice is. It's not their job to remind them to bring their shoes, their jerseys, their game pants, or their practice pants, the water. It's not their job. Coaches should want to play the best kids at that time. The ones that give them a best chance to win, or the ones that have done what has been asked of them. Playing time should not be a given based on a year that you were born, a year that you're graduating. it shouldn't even be granted based on how many points you could potentially score. Playing time's based on how well you can play with the other members of your team. That's it. Outside of guys like LeBron James, who had, let's face it, when he played in high school, he had some pretty good guys around him as well. Guys like LeBron James are one of the few that probably never had to answer to anybody given his talent level. Everybody knew LeBron James was going to be a professional basketball player. Nobody knew how good he was going to be, and one of the best basketball players of all time. But LeBron could probably get away with a little bit more than most. And I don't know the story, but every account that I've heard and every documentary that I've watched said LeBron was a pretty respectful young man. Which tells me that parents, right? And LeBron's had his trouble with mom, with Gloria. Parents are getting in the way of what kids are trying to, and coaches are trying to convey to the kids. Parents are getting in the way of what coaches are trying to convey to the kids. There is I'm sure that every coach would love to have a parent sign up and be part of their program and take something off of their plate so they can go and spend more time with their family at night. So they can go and do other things in their life other than coach a sport. But that's not what coaches sign up for. Coaches aren't signing up to impress parents. They're signing up to create impressions on student athletes and athletes in general. We are going to have at some point in the next 5 to 10 years coaching shortages because of the way that athletes, student athletes, parents, officials, they're far from having their hands clean in this. We're going to have a coaching shortage. And I've mentioned it on the show before. Which one are we going to have first? Are we going to have a coaching shortage? Or are we going to have an officiating shortage first? And in some places, there's a third part to this, and it's a player shortage. Kids aren't signing up to play sports as much as they used to because some coaches and some officials think that they're playing or coaching or officiating at a professional level, and these are kids. Now, I think we're a while away from a player shortage. I think the girls are more affected immediately than the boys. I've had conversations with Chris Sigler about this. But it's coming. So when it happens, I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm going to say, again, how frustrating it is. So the next time, I encourage you that the next time you're out there, whether you're an official, you're a parent, you're a student athlete, or whether you're a coach, know your role and shut your mouth. Play the game, coach the game, officiate the game, watch the game. That's your role. That's your only role. If you do that, then the rest will come easy and free. Not every opinion that you have is right. Living proof right here. Not every opinion I have is right. But I get paid for my opinions. Student athletes, coaches, parents, officials. Stay in your lane. And I will give credit to a couple parents who sought out so much to understand the game as much as an official that they went and got their officiating licenses. That is cool. That is very cool. That's the way it should be. Go out and get it. Here we go here. Donnie Riccatelli watching the show. Hi, Donnie. My good friend. We had 12 total girls last year, 26 this year. Coaches make a major difference. Yes, they do. They certainly do. All right, let's get to the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Presented by our friends at Joe Dickey Electric. Here we go. All right. Real quick one, because tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit, and I'm sure on Wednesday with Scotty and Radar, we're going to talk more about Brown Steelers and all the firings and hirings on this NFL Black Monday. I saw there was a couple things, two sides of this coin. Social media yesterday, every Brown Steelers game, you get two sides of it. You get when the Browns lose, it's something, the Steelers are disgusting because they did this during the game, or they did that during the game. Did you see this? The first one I'm going to start off with is something that I was a little bit disappointed with. Like I battled internally on this one. Everybody who is on social media that is a Browns or Steelers fan, or maybe even just an NFL fan in general, has probably seen the after sack celebration or whatever the hell it was yesterday. Highsmith had a sack, and you can't see the number of who did it. So if anybody knows in the comments, please leave it. But one of his teammates came over, and they did, while Highsmith was down, they did a almost CPR. It was CPR celebration. And immediately I thought, all the good things to take away from the Steelers win yesterday, given that they still didn't make the playoffs, that's their own fault. That tone deaf, grotesque, stupid, I don't like using that word, but that's what it was. Given what happened to Damar Hamlin, given what happened less than a week prior, given all the thoughts and prayers and attention that this has garnered, not just for the NFL, but for CPR in general and heart disease and heart attack, all that stuff. That was the most frustrating thing. And I use frustrating very loosely because I was overly frustrated when I saw it. Kept hoping that it wasn't true. I kept hoping that it wasn't what it was. And it is. There's no way of jumping around it. Now, whether it was related to the Hamlin tragedy, whether it was related to, at that point, it doesn't matter. The internet won't forgive you. And not that you're asking for forgiveness, but you should. It's a bad look. It's a bad move. It's a scumbag move, as we say so often. And the right steps need to be taken by the team. Screw the NFL. Like, NFL should have nothing to do with this. They should not get their hands in this. This is a team that talks about the standard is the standard. And as a Steeler fan, I buy it. I buy it. But to do what they did wasn't my finest moment as a Steeler fan. Didn't make me get the warm and fuzzies that I usually get, that I had after the game when they beat the Browns, that I had for the future of this franchise. Don't be stupid. Don't be, I guess if you're going to do that, don't sit around and pray for the man if you're just going to make fun of him or make fun of the situation. Because if the situation were, if the shoe were on the other foot, maybe Damar Hamlin does that. I would suggest just from hearing about his character that he probably doesn't. The second thing, and the way we're going to finish this show, there's a picture floating around of Mike Tomlin fist bumping an official. And every Browns fan is up in arms about it because, they didn't hide it during the game. These guys are in cahoots together. Interesting. I'm going to go take a picture the next time I'm out of a coach fist bumping, shaking hands with the officials prior to a game. And then I'm going to post it. And I want to see if it has the same garner of the comments and the blasts. And what was Tomlin supposed to do? It's the last game of the season. Now, one of the referees, it was his last game he would ever officiate. I don't know if it was that particular referee or not. I'm not up on my referee roster, but they said during the game, this was the last game he was going to officiate. Da-da-da-da-da. These guys work together in tandem. Mike Tomlin is on a committee that helps with the rules that the referees and officials have to regulate. So basically what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is one side of the story. Oh, it looks really funny that Mike Tomlin's giving a fist bump to that referee. You don't shake hands with officials? When you're at the coin toss, you don't see players shaking hands and bumping with officials? Get over it, Browns fans. Get over it. Your team sucked yesterday. Straight up. You know it. Probably the same people out there saying, run the football. Run the football. Give it to Chubb. 73 times. Give it to him. Watson stinks. Now it's just apparent. You got guys that are quitting on your team before the last game. Stop blaming the referee and Mike Tomlin because they're in cahoots. That's my spark. I will see all of you tomorrow. I hope you enjoy having the show back. We thank Toyota of Warren so much for their sponsorship, their just mentorship, everything that comes along with it. Finally got the okay for our YSN Toyota Tundra. That'll be coming out in the next few weeks. We thank everybody that supports this show in some way, shape, or form. And we thank you for tuning in. My name is DJ Yoakley. That's going to do it for our show today. Tune in tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on the Ysn Power Hour. Don't forget about Running Point, 1 to 2 here on the network. Plenty of games tonight. Make sure you grab one. We'll see you then. Ysn thanks you for watching.